This is More to Say with Randy Naughton. Interesting conversations with interesting people. We welcome you into another edition of More to Say with Randy Naughton. And today I'm really excited to talk about my favorite team, the Buffalo Bills. But first, I want to welcome everyone in, all the newcomers to the podcast. Thank you very much for supporting us for over the past year. And of course, to our sponsors, the Lemp Mansion in St. Louis, one of the most haunted places in all of North America. When's the last time you were there? For a meal, for an event, check it out. Also, Mostly Superheroes podcast with Logan Janis, who's also my podcast partner. Check them out. A lot of really fun guys. And our newest sponsor, St. Louis Medical Weight Loss, Dr. Joe Molesky. Check out the Dr. Joe difference on their website, stlmedweightloss.com. And don't forget, you can follow me all over social media. Lots of places you can check out my latest shenanigans. And if you follow me on social media, you know I am a member, diehard of Bills Mafia. I hail from Western New York. I was born in Niagara Falls, and that's never waned. I've always been a Bills fan. So our guest today is somebody who also has been a lifelong Bills fan, and now she is part owner of the team. We welcome Sue McCollum, Chairman and CEO of Major Brands in Missouri here, also Chief Executive Officer of 2 Anheuser-Busch distributors in South Florida, Eagle Brand Sales and Double Eagle Distributing. Sue, welcome into the More to Say podcast. How you doing?
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's great to be here.
Well, I just thought your story is really cool because, you know, as a lifelong Buffalo Bills fan myself, it's like, man, if I could ever own just a piece of the team, and I know I can with season tickets and PSLs now going with the new stadium. I know that's all doable, but Terry Pegula, owner of the Bills, sold a portion of his stake of the team to 10 different, I guess, silent minority owners. And you are one of them and one of only 2 women in there. So tell me how you became a Buffalo Bills fan and ultimately a partial Buffalo Bills team owner.
Well, I've always been a Bills fan.
Yeah.
I was born in Buffalo, New York, and grew up there. And the Bills were just a part of our family and a part of day-to-day life, if you will, even way back when. And I don't know, I just loved following sports. I loved watching the Bills. It truly was a family affair, with our entire family. And we used to go to the games. I mean, I don't know how many people here have been to a Bills game, but when the stadium opened in 1973, my parents, along with my aunts and uncles, combined to get a group of tickets, and we would go to the games together.
Now, was this at Rich Stadium at the
and get
time
on
or
a church
War
bus.
Memorial?
Well, this was Rich Stadium. It had just
okay.
opened.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I've just always been a Bills fan. And someone sent me a T-shirt that said I was part of the Bills Mafia before it was cool.
Yeah.
And I think it's, the Bills Mafia has been there. We evolved. It's fantastic. But I can't think of a stronger fan base or a place where, it really demonstrates community anytime you go to a game. It's growing up there and going to those football games, it was really special. It's a special place.
You mentioned the sense of community, and Buffalo obviously has seen its share of tragedies over the last number of years, not to mention the weather and playing in it and blizzards and people dying. And of course, the tragedy at the Tops Market in Buffalo with the mass shooting and just so many things with, Damar Hamlin. I can't think of another team, fan base, community that has been through so much, been through more, and has rallied around the team as the nucleus of the resurgence of the community. Can you agree with that?
I can. And I just want to say that I think even the fact that the Pegula family and Terry Pegula invited people like me to be part of this is just a testament to the place of Buffalo. And, I'm just, and I'm thankful to the Pegula family for including me in this group. I'm thankful to that sensibility. I think that is part of what Buffalo is. and the recognition that having people who grow up there and part of this was really important because Buffalo is a place, I think, if you grow up there, that helps to define you. And I would always say, wherever I lived, and I've lived in Kansas City, Washington, D.C., Miami, and St. Louis. So I've lived several places. And there's something about growing up in Buffalo where your world gets defined a bit differently. And you use the word resilience.
Yeah.
And I think that there are many times in my life that I thought growing up in Buffalo prepared me for what might come my way. So when I think about the resilience and what has happened in Buffalo, and it happens in other places too, um, what I think about is how there, because of the weather, um, there's this natural sense that we all need to depend on one another
Hmm.
in some way, shape, or form. And I mean, that blizzard a couple years ago was awful. I grew up and survived what they called the blizzard of 77, where
I
the
remember
Christmas,
it well.
yeah. And we slid off the roof of my aunt's garage. We climbed out the second story windows and went over to the garage and sled down it because the snow was that high. So, but there's something about knowing that if you get stuck in the snow, that the guy behind you is going to help you. Um,
Absolutely.
and I think that's part of what Buffalo is. And I think the Bills are indicative of that resilience or that spirit. And I think that's why the fan base is so proud because you know what the true testament of being a fan is to want to watch them, to want to be there, to feel part of it, whether they're winning and losing. And I can tell you, in Buffalo, that is the case.
Yes,
And I always
indeed.
said the best 15 until recently, the best 15 seconds of the football season after the '90s Super Bowl era was the 15 seconds when you'd go to a game and you'd see the kickoff and you'd see the Buffaloes used to stampede on the scoreboard and you'd be like, this is the most hopeful moment in our season when anything is possible. And I think there's something about the Bills and me growing up there and resilience and all that that just says it's part of the fabric. We know that life isn't always easy, but we know that we'll figure it out. And you know what you have to do is appreciate the people you're with. That's what going to a Bills game's about.
I don't disagree one darn bit with you. Now, you're a successful businesswoman. You don't have to do this. You didn't have to do this. In fact, you're one of 10 minority owners, limited partner, and NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said the new owners will not be in any kind of decision-making influence in any way. So, why did you put your hand in this particular cookie jar?
Uh, because I saw it as, I don't know, being part of something that I grew up in. I don't live in Buffalo anymore.
Right.
But Buffalo is present. Niagara Falls is behind me. That spirit. So it's one of those things I just decided, okay, I'll see what happens. You know, sometimes you swing for the fences and you hit a home run. And to me, that's what happened. And I also want to say that I'm grateful to the ownership because that's why it happened, is because the ownership ran a great process and the Pagula family welcomed a diverse group of owners,
Yeah.
really, silent partners, but understood, this is to me, this is like a community trust. you know,
That's
if
a good
you're
way
if
to
you're
put
a
it.
Green Bay Packers fan, you can own part of the team.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and I think you can own part of the Boston Celtic. This was just a shot at it, and I think it's a testament to the process and the people who ran it that I ended up being part of it.
That is
I'm
that is
grateful.
amazing. So now, obviously, the Bills are. This will likely be released. This episode will likely be released after all the playoffs, possibly even after the Super Bowl. Fingers crossed for the Buffalo Bills. I'm wearing my lucky sparkly tennis shoes my hubby got me for Christmas. I'm Bills Mafia, and it's not easy to do that in the middle of Chiefs Kingdom here in St. Louis, as you know. So I get the trolls, but I don't care. I let people know.
I'm just going to say a few things. I've always was curious about the Chiefs Kingdom because they have a wolf as a mascot. They're a kingdom, And I mean, it's like we need to get some, Bill's Mafia has been Bill's Mafia forever.
Yeah.
We've had in the kingdom and the Chiefs Nation and the what's with the wolf. And I mean, anyway, so just you tell me, you were in sports. I could never quite figure out, like, one day they had a kingdom.
Yeah.
Um and so but so as far as the Chiefs go, I appreciate the Chiefs and I root for any Missouri team, but I have to say the Bills are my favorite.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Well, it's time for another Lemp History Minute, sponsored by the Lemp Mansion in St. Louis. Did you know that in 1980, Time magazine published an article in which they named the Lemp Mansion in St. Louis one of the most haunted places in all of North America? Many say the Lemp Mansion is haunted because four members of the very wealthy and successful Lemp family died in that mansion, three of them by suicide. Now, since those days, many people have dined at the mansion or even stayed overnight, had events there, and a lot of them sort of reported some very eerie occurrences. Faces peering out of windows, unexplained eerie events, noises being picked up by paranormal equipment. Today, the Lemp Mansion is thriving as a restaurant, as an event space, as a really cool place to go for all the fun events they put on, scavenger hunt, boozy bingo, tours, you name it. And this is the perfect time of the year to book you and your friends at the Lemp Mansion, whether it's just to have a lunch or a dinner, or if you dare, stay overnight. And if you haven't visited the Lemp in a while, do check them out and all the great events they have. Their website, lempmansion.com. Hi, Randy Naughton here, along with Dr. Joseph Molesky, to tell you about St. Louis Medical Weight Loss. You heard about those weight loss shots? Well, I battle high blood pressure, cholesterol, and prediabetes, so I decided to invest in my health.
Visit stlmedweightloss.com or give us a call.
Hello, and thank you for listening to More to Say with Randy Naughton. When you're done with this episode, come check out another fun podcast called Mostly Superheroes, a variety talk show featuring me, your host Logan, Andy the Giggler, Scotty Scoop, and guests just like Randy Naughton, Steve Ewing, and Sean Gunn, and many more. Getting your fix for Marvel, Star Wars, TV, film, and inspiring stories from people in our community. Find more at mostlysuperheroes.com, search Mostly Superheroes in your podcast app and on YouTube, and ask your smart speaker, play the latest episode of Mostly Superheroes, the podcast. Enjoy the rest of this episode of More to Say with Randy Naughton, and we'll see you over at mostlysuperheroes.com.
Hey, everybody, it's Randy from the More to Say podcast, and I want to let you know that we're welcoming in a new sponsor, somebody and a group of people who want to end the stigma of mental illness and suicide. It is called Team Jakey, and Team Jakey is a mental health and suicide prevention organization here in St. Louis, raising awareness, holding community events, hopefully to end the stigma of mental illness. Jake, their family member, took his own life, and they said, you know what? We don't want other families to go through this. We want to end the stigma. And what we want to do is get involved in the St. Louis community to help other people through their mental illness struggles. For nearly 10 years, they've raised nearly $500,000 for organizations like the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention in Missouri and Provident Behavioral Health in St. Louis. There are all kinds of amazing events they have coming up. They are so much fun and they are amazing in the way they raise money and awareness. So if you would like to join the Team Jakey team, if you want to follow along with all of their efforts and see how many people they're helping with these efforts of, again, born of a tragedy in their own family, they're turning this into good for others. So they invite you to find them on Facebook, Team Jakey End the Stigma. Find them on Facebook. They would love it if you check them out. Thanks. Hey everyone, it's Randy. Want to win some free stuff? Who doesn't? Hey, we've got some Lion's Choice gift cards to give away for you. We recently sat down with Lion's Choice CEO Fred Bermer in the original Lion's Choice location. It's a fascinating conversation about this St. Louis brand, which is now expanding regionally, of course. So how do you win the gift cards? You can comment on this post and tag a friend, and you can get some bonus entries by subscribing to More to Say with Randy Naughton on your podcast app or subscribing on my YouTube channel. So there is no purchase necessary. You must be 18 years of age and restrictions apply. So good luck. Hopefully you'll be munching on Lion's Choice soon. See you on the podcast. Were you in St. Louis? And, you are a partial owner of an NFL team, and that's really only happened, I think, one time, 100% with Georgia Frontiere here in St. Louis with the then St. Louis Rams. Did you ever interact with her and her ownership group before Stan Kroenke took it over?
No, no.
No, no, yeah.
I
So
had season tickets, had a PSL.
yeah, yeah, of course. But that obviously female ownership in the NFL. I mean, would you hope, and is it your wish to own a team outright someday and not be a minority owner and a silent partner?
Growing up in Buffalo, I didn't ever dream of owning a team. Those aren't kind of Buffalo dreams, if you ask me.
Right, right.
Dreams are about going to a Super Bowl or being able to go to a game, or I don't know. So I didn't think like that. I just thought, wow, I saw the announcement and said, why not throw my hat in the ring? You
Why
just never
not?
know. So it's just I mean, it's an honor. It's like one of those things where, I don't know. So I wanted to do what you do or did and still do really,
Well, you were in broadcasting yourself. I did it
for
for
just
what?
a very short period of
Yeah, I
time,
was
but
in it
I
for
wanted
40 years.
I want to be a sportscaster. I wanted to like I wanted to cover the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. It didn't happen. Life takes different turns. So maybe this was my shot at that. But I'm going to tell you, it's really more about nostalgia. It's
That's
more
awesome.
about family, and it was just like sometimes lately I've learned you have to sometimes just go for things and you never know what will happen. And sometimes the stuff you think will happen doesn't, and sometimes the stuff you think you'll never have a shot does. So there you go.
Well, you're looking at nostalgia, but now let's look ahead because the Bills obviously are on a great path right now in the playoffs. Again, this will likely be released after all the playoffs and the season is said and done. However, it looks good for the future, at least in the early part of it. Looking ahead to Highmark Stadium, the new stadium, state of the art stadium being built in Buffalo. And it is being modeled after the Tottenham soccer or football stadium, as they call it over in England, where, people are like, why doesn't it have a dome? Well, are you allowed to like chime in on any of that as a silent partner?
um, that stadium is being built, and I think it's going to be
Oh,
fantastic,
yeah.
right? I mean, it's an outdoor stadium. If you would ask me, uh, whatever, I mean, the debate about whether Buffalo should have a dome stadium has existed forever. Um, and I can't imagine Buffalo with a dome stadium, to be
No.
honest.
And,
I just
and
think it wouldn't. I mean, that part of the whole experience and part of living in Buffalo is you don't get to hide from the weather, and we have to be proud of our weather. We have to be proud of. I always said my dad got up in the morning and he would turn his car on. It was cold and every day, and no one. And Buffalo was the opposite. I would hear move places and people like it's cloudy again, and Buffalo was like, oh my God, the sun is out today. What a beautiful day, right? You don't say, oh, it's cloudy again. You'd be saying that all the time. Again wouldn't be necessary. It's cloudy. But I think like I love the domes. I mean, I love not having a dome
I
stadium.
agree with you. There's no
I went to the
experience.
Rams game that
Oh,
to me didn't feel like football. I mean, and this stadium, and I don't know, any more than what anyone else could read about it. It just seems like it's going to be fantastic, a fantastic integration of, keeping the spirit, right, but also updating and increasing some things. I mean, I know that everyone thinks about the shoveling, you know what I mean, and actually, it's an amazing thing. Uh, the fact that they put a call out for shovelers and people show
they
up with their
show up.
shovels. That is it, because you could be part of helping that team win. We can do something. And that mentality is a huge piece of wanting to sit outside in the cold. We want the other team to have to experience a bit of Buffalo.
Yep, yep.
Come on, what was a more beautiful game than that 49ers game?
Oh, it was so
It's going to be
pretty.
one of my most favorite games ever. It was so pretty. We did so well in it. I mean, I had people texting me from all over going, wow, it's so beautiful. You know what I mean? It's just fun. I just can't imagine a stadium not like that, and the new stadium will have all that.
I'm 100% with you. I don't like sitting behind glass or a suite. I like to be out in the elements. I like to hear the crowd. I like to hear the crashes of the helmets. It's just so much fun, and there is truly no experience like it than in Buffalo. Maybe Green Bay. I'll say I've never been up there to Lambeau, but now as far as the new stadium goes and the new season, are you going to be? How many games a year do you go to? And are you going to be up there for every game as we go forward?
Well, I have a job still, so
I don't, so
so you can be up there.
I will.
So no, I mean, I just try to go to as many games as I can fit in, and I imagine that will continue. I love going to games with my sons. I have 2 sons. They're huge Bills fans. My younger son and I had so many traditions around watching the Bills games and going to games, and I brought some of his friends to games, making chicken wing dip before
Oh,
every
yeah.
game.
I don't know if you
And
noticed my earring. I've got a chicken wing here and a buffalo there. And I also have
they're
Josh
very
Allen
nice.
heads. Thank you.
I think my sister would like those. She's
Yeah.
got a lot of earrings, but I've never seen the chicken wing and
Oh,
the
yeah.
football together.
Chicken wing, football, Josh
Well,
Allen.
I could show you all I've got back here. since
Please
you're showing
do.
off. Okay, so we've got well, I mean, there's nothing better than the Shout.
They're right there on
Fisher
my shelf,
Price.
Sue. Right there on my shelf. I've got those
Okay.
yep, the Fisher Price.
Then I've got some nostalgia stuff. I don't know where my license plate is. I must have moved it. This is a great picture of my sister and self for my 50th birthday. Now that's crooked. We went to a group of us. I invited all my friends to go to a Bills game. So if they weren't from Buffalo, they came and they went. And it was great.
Oh, fun.
And there are the 2 of us at a game. I've got a Josh Allen thing from Oshai Hospital because my grandnephew, my niece's son, was treated there and got to meet him and just been a huge fan. I mean, I like to start every day with some Josh's Jacks.
Yeah, I'd say you're a fan, Sue. I've got some stuff on my shelf behind, but I think you got me
And
beat.
then, every now and then you got to go back to the glory days just to remember.
Yes.
So this is a Steve Tasker signed.
Oh, I love him.
Okay, it's January 1, 1996. Fiesta Pole, but it's a Sports Illustrated. And there's my Super Bowl ticket because there was no way the Buffalo Bills could lose 3 in a row. So I took my Christmas gift from my husband, traded it in for a ticket, and went to the game. And I'm going to tell you, they did lose 3 in a row. In fact, they lost 4 in a row.
Yes, I know. I still can't watch that ESPN special, The 4 Falls of Buffalo. I still can't.
Oh, man.
I still can't watch it. I hate field goals to this day because of it. I truly do. I absolutely do. So I think this is great connecting with you. And, maybe when we're both in Buffalo at the same time, we'll crash through some tables at a Buffalo Bills tailgate. You sound like you would be a hoot to go with and have a great time with. And
we'll drink a Bud Light.
Absolutely.
And we'll crash through a table.
Absolutely. We'll get
a Bills Mafia Bud Light can.
That sounds so much fun. I'd love to see that. So listen, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it, catching up with you, talking everything Buffalo Bills. And of course, we'll follow the Bills' trajectory, hopefully to the Super Bowl and beyond. And then we'll follow the team in the new stadium as well. So thank you, Sue. I appreciate it.
Go Bills.
Go Bills, of course. And that's going to do it for another edition of More to Say with Randy Naughton. Our thanks to our sponsors, the Lemp Mansion here in St. Louis, as well as Mostly Superheroes podcast with my podcast partner, Logan Janis, and our newest sponsor, STL Med Weight Loss. Don't forget to follow me on all my social media channels. You'll see all the handles down below. Jump on board. You'll never know what kind of shenanigans you'll see me up to. And of course, always supporting my Buffalo Bills as Bills Mafia. Until next time.
This has been More to Say with Randy Naughton. Interesting conversations with interesting people. Be sure to like or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.